Okay.
We're all set? All right. It is 5:32, February 2nd, 2023. We're calling the Finance and Budget Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the updates from the business office. Angela, did you want to kick it off, please?
Yes, and I can stop in between each topic item as you wish, just kind of stop me when you have questions, but just wanted to provide updates on just a variety of things. So regarding the referendum, we've been working hard as a leadership team and with our communications leader, Lisa Sink, on communications for the referendum. Lori Brown has been working very hard to schedule meetings with the public, with staff, our community events. And so we have a lot of that is really, I would say probably 75% on the calendar and planned out, maybe even more than that. So there's been a lot just, getting finished recently with that. We've made, just as a part of when you have a resolution adopted, you have to file those with the county. We have to file it with DPI. So all those things are complete. And the next thing that the public will really see is that there's a flyer that will go in for printing by mid next week. And then the following week will be in the mail. So next week, as some of our first events, we have an event to talk to all administrators about the referendum information, to give everyone information to share with so they are armed if they have questions that come up. And then we have an online meeting with the whole entire school district so people can tune in and learn more about the referendum as well. So those are the main events that are coming up. And I don't think I've missed anything, but Jim, feel free.
Other than we're preparing not only, a 2-page flyer, we're also preparing a presentation, of the information, to convey that. So all that stuff's in the works and we're making progress, but there's a lot of stuff to, make it nice and concise. And, we follow models. We, do like everybody else does. We see what's out there and, make sure we're honing in that message, so that it connects with the community.
No days and times on meetings or any of these ongoing as of yet?
The community meetings, I believe they're at 6:30 in the evening. We're going to have 2 that are going to be in person, one at Wilson, one at Lincoln, and then 2 that are going to be online. We felt since that's been a popular forum that we would, try to still do that, even though we're not in pandemic times. I mean, when we've done staff engagement things, like our big insurance updates that work really well to use an online forum. So we're going to continue that and go with that for this time as well. And we, just nice as Lisa has and Jessica, one of them, I think maybe Lisa did put together like a nice calendar so that, it's organizing this effort. There are a lot of moving pieces and a lot of parts. And so we're also just trying to say, like, how are we organized for a referendum? We have old materials from former referendums that we can reference as models and look at what other districts do. And so feel we're very well organized.
We will be sharing that calendar with you. We're just about complete with that. As this information really is available, we will share it with you so that you're aware of.
Question about that is, okay, so that's for staff?
Next Wednesday, I believe, yes, is just for staff.
So that's like a one-way presentation, right? There's no back and forth at all.
Correct. And then we're also going into the buildings and doing individual staff meetings as well. I didn't mention that. So we wanted to give the basic information in an online forum and then be able to interact with the staff and answer questions and clarifications if they come.
We'll be working to schedule meetings with PTOs, also with the parents, at the buildings, so we're a variety of ways of trying to get connected.
How about, have you thought about doing an online link on our website for the public? With an online
We talked
presentation?
about doing everything from podcasts and other things into LinkedIn to be able to distribute. So, we are discussing those things in terms of.
Because I think that would be nice for people to hop on when they want to, if there was a link to something they could watch.
Yeah, we could record. What we can do is record the session that we do for staff next week and just record that. And then, when we would do a Q&A, we could stop it, and just post that, or post it with the questions too. I mean, we'd have to, I don't know that we were going to do how we were going to manage the Q&A. We have to kind of connect on that, but So, yeah, but we can post it on the website too. And there's like an area too, we were thinking before the community events to offer for people to put in questions. And there's already a place for community to add questions about the referendum, and then we can come prepared with those. Not 100% sure, but I thought the thought was to not try to manage a Q&A just through the online chats when we're in. We would kind of take questions in advance and prepare those
Sure.
as a kind of representation and sampling, and we'll get a feel real quickly for what are the common questions that people will have. I mean, while we think we've thought of everything that people will think about, there's always questions that will come up that we can add for clarification to.
So when you do that on our website, will it be a very visible spot? It's just like we've talked about some of the other areas and things that are hard to find. Like, I don't know what that takes to get things on that main page.
There's a banner on the right side of when you look at the top ribbon on the website on the right side,
Mhm.
you'll see that, as you're looking from this way, and referendum, and they could click on that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest too, once we get those dates for those public events, if we can add that on there, so they're all kind of in the same area.
And on that main sort of message portion of the website, we can add the dates to the scrolling thing. And, I'm not exactly sure who's updating the website right now, but we can get to that and make sure that that's updated as well.
What social media outreach are we going to be putting stuff on our Facebook page, etc.?
I believe so. Yes. We would put it on social media as well.
And I would tell you that this is challenging in terms of losing a couple of people, that we're doing stuff, where it's no longer handing. But that's why I've engaged, the information system. Jessica's for the most part reporting directly to me now, and I have her involved in our executive committee meetings because we're trying to make sure this stuff gets populated. The connections are, so we're working, until we get, more people, into positions that are open.
On that note, if you need help with that, let me know, and I might know some people that could kind of freelance and can help with that just in the interim. I'm sure to get more of a permanent solution. But yeah, I do agree though, we have to get proactive in getting the messaging out there with the scope coming up in a couple months.
No, I mean, we feel good about where we're at with it. Been working with Lisa Sink, and she provided an update today. I'm going to meet with her tomorrow to review the financial information that's in there, so we kind of team up on the sort of the guts of the message. And Jim, and Jamie will all review it together, so it has several eyes. We can, share. If you guys would like to preview it as well, because that was shared before too. We can make sure to do that anytime if there'd be any concerns, and we can. Just have another set of eyes on it. So, yeah. Okay, so that's all I had to share along those lines. I mean, any other questions before we move on? Okay, so donations. With revising, I just had some conversation with, with Colin, a little bit with Stacy as well too regarding donations. Now we have the threshold to bring all donations for approval to or just that we need formal approval that are like $2,000 and above, and we're moving that threshold up to $5,000. And just an idea I had through seeing what other school districts do, because it's really, up to us how we want to handle donations. But one idea was to add them like a separate attachment to them along kind of with the same grouping of monthly financials to list donations that we receive as a school district. So, we may get like $50 from a certain organization for a certain activity. And it's a way to be able to celebrate people that contribute to the school district and not just ones that give large amounts. So we're not obligated to do anything by our policy, but I just thought it would be a nice practice and sort of in a way to streamline even what we do at the committee level. When rarely are we going to say, no, we don't want to take a donation. I mean, if there would be something, we would have advanced conversations. I'd be talking to Jim, I'd be talking to the finance chair. we would be talking about any controversial donations, but this way, if there is something that needs to be approved, it could be full board action with just a brief summary and approval at the full board meeting, and it would save time here and make it quick at the full board level as well. So it's just an idea. I wanted to float that and see if you guys were okay with that as a practice, and we would start putting it into place for next month.
I love that idea. And I love the idea, we say big dollars, but $50 might be a lot of dollars for somebody. So I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, and just give acknowledgement to that.
So
So
might have a little kid who breaks open their piggy bank. You just never know.
I think you should probably leave it up to the donor, right? I mean, some people just don't want to make a big deal about it.
Well, then they would say anonymous, wouldn't they?
Mhm.
And there could be a part in there that if they'd like it. to be
And that
anonymous.
happens. That happens where people have given, every place I've worked, that's happened.
Yeah.
Mhm. What I was thinking too is having like a Google form where people like the buildings, could they send me money, their deposits to the building, but if it's specifically a donation, they could fill out and say, you know, what was the donation amount and what it was for. And then would be really easy to put that together on a report. It wouldn't be difficult at all. And then we can just make sure to formally approve the ones that are over the threshold, so. I mean, I don't think we need action on that. I don't believe, you know, because it's not like we're not changing policy or anything, but if no one's opposed to that, I'll just start doing that for the March regular meeting.
Is there a way to ask the donor? That if they mind, I think Tony has a good point there that, you know, you don't want to turn off donors because out of fear of it being read at a meeting either. So I think it can go both ways. So I love the idea. I really do. I think, you know, some people, it's acknowledging and thanking them, you know, and others, it just might be a little bit uneasy and unsure. I mean, some people just don't like attention.
What we could do is mention to the school secretaries and the people that would fill out that form to please mention to the people that are, I mean, usually we're very disconnected from the donation itself. So just sort of brainstorming out loud, I would say maybe I would ask them and say like, please, you know, please confirm with the person that they're comfortable having their donation noted and recognized by the Board of Education, and fill out the information below if they provide consent. Like I could do something like that. So, and then if they want to remain anonymous, they can remain anonymous. So
just to be clear, anytime someone gives money, they're filling out a form of some sort to donate. Yeah.
no, I mean, we,
So how is that tracked then? If someone comes in and gives $50 cash?
sometimes we'll get a check and it'll say, it'll have a note on it. Please donate this to whatever fund, you know, and then we just put it in that account, because some are, you know, our Fund 21 accounts are a really good example. Like some people will, we received a donation for Ron Rubik Field this week. I can't remember the exact amount, but actually it was $500. I do remember. And, you know, it just comes in and it's noted what the deposit's for and it goes into the account and that's it.
Do we acknowledge back that the gift was received?
Over $250 if they request a letter, we give one, but we don't like have a regular practice of automatically processing one, which would not be hard to do if, you know, to put that into practice. You know, just kind of looking at what was done in past practice. So sometimes we've had it where there's someone who donated materials and they said, well, I felt this was worth, to that person, it was worth like $300 or something. So they asked for a letter. So when I looked into what had been done in the past, they said, well, just give a letter. We really shouldn't be assigning value to items. So that's where it becomes a little tricky. So, and when it's a donation of an item and we don't have like a formal appraisal on it for value, we just say, thank you for donating this. And then they can use that and they can assign a value to it and off they go. So.
Goodwill. But every time you drop off anything at Goodwill, they just, you know, do you want a tax receipt or something like that?
Mhm.
You know, they always get it's just standard operation for them.
Mhm.
And I think that they kind of take it as a, you know, that's what you claim that this is worth is your own business and none of ours. So, I mean,
Yeah, we should have something in practice about that. I guess I have a family a kind of a family member who did something, this is well before your time, but donated, we'll say, call it materials or items. And we kind of went around and around about it because it wasn't a practice normally.
Okay, sure.
So we should have, we keep talking about systems. We should have something in place
Mhm.
about material donations or item donations.
Mhm.
You know, like for example, one of the things was an enlarger, a photographic enlarger for the art department. You know, but so there was some good stuff, but there was no practice about how if someone donates those kinds of things. So like we should have, you never know
Yeah.
when that's gonna pop up and it might be something our school district could really use, but we can't afford to go buy. So
And I think, you know, I'd have to look back into the policy too, like, and I read it just recently, I just don't want to take the time to dig for it right now. But I mean, usually the practice was if they would request something like that, that we would give them a letter. So, no, I mean, I think let me make a Google form, that'll be easy, and I'll just ask for them to provide, you know, consent to like ask the person and say, we are gonna include this on a list. Are you okay with that? You know, if there's not a contact information, maybe we just won't use that and we'll just, we won't include it and then just process a letter. We could do that on a regular basis. And
Yeah, even just a thank you letter, you know, I mean, that's just a quick print, stamp it.
yeah, and we can
That's just
mail
crazy.
merge those pretty easily. So, yeah. Well, we're grateful for all the donations we received. I, you know, just kind of thought of just a general way to streamline it because I want to make sure sometimes what we really shouldn't formally even deposit a check if it's not for a donation, if it's not approved by the board, you know. So sometimes we have like a donation and we say like, oh, we should wait to donate this. And then if we don't want to hold on to it for like a long period of time. So it kind of just brought the topic to mind. So, okay. Anything else on that one? Okay. I just wanted to share just the number of enrollments for just the health insurance plans and the, you know, just as a result of open enrollment for 2023 calendar year. We had the largest percentage stay, 77% stay on the traditional PPO plan, and about 22% move to the high deductible. Our goal was to see if we could have 10% move to the high deductible plan. You know, we thought, well, you know, let's work hard to promote this, and we offered a very generous benefit as a district, which we hope to continue to do, and to make it worthwhile for employees to you know, make that choice. And so you know, this just kind of outlines the amount. I mean, overall, we're spending $200,000 on the HSA benefit for all of those enrolled. You know, the insurance broker said that when we look at our data and our claims experience and things, that you have run out from your previous year just because of the timing, and because we're self-insured. She said we would likely start to see a change, you know, by the end of the first quarter. So it's like, while we're funding that HSA, we also, you know, should have less cost and claims there. So that's where that should even itself out or put us at, you know, at a savings from that standpoint. You know, the biggest hurdle that we've run into with the insurance is that there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes between your carrier or UMR, which provides the administration for our plans. And there was confusion over cards. And then we had issues with the HSA cards and those, you know, getting that taken care of. I think with the number of employers that switch health plans on the start of the calendar year, that's where it ran into an issue. But I believe everyone's received cards now. We're running into little issues here and there with mapping between the medical plan and the pharmacies. So we believe we have it resolved, but you know, we're addressing each issue as it comes up. So, and then the other major change that we had with the health plan was the spousal surcharge. So there are 123 employees that enrolled in a family plan that also have a spouse that have other eligible health insurance coverage. So, when we examine the ways to structure our rates, we didn't want to penalize, or have an impact on families that necessarily didn't have exposure to other coverage available. So the spousal surcharge was implemented for those who do have other coverage available. So, so the amount, and I had a typo. They pay $75 a month for the spousal surcharge in the memo, and it would be $120,000 would be over the course of the full year is what we would receive, and that would be a little bit of a offset on those claims. I have to just make sure I have that right here. I'm just thinking, but that was just a little typo on my side. So, just make sure. Yeah, and actually it would be over the course of the year I rounded it up. So 110.7 total. So, and that'll vary a little bit throughout the year as well, because you'll get someone who does have other coverage available, and then people will switch off of employment. So we have to manage that over the course of the year. So those are just, that's the update on that. Any questions on that portion? Okay. Business office staffing update, just something very, very just quick and short to mention. We're just working through the process of hiring the added position. So we're going to start screeners tomorrow morning, and we hope to have someone in place by the end of February, early March. And then Leanne Walters, our payroll coordinator, who has been with the district over 20 years, she has decided to retire. So she is excited to move on to her next section in her journey, and we're very, very grateful for her. I mean, she's paid the employees of the MPSD for a very, very long time. She knows things in and out, and she'll be, it'll be challenging to fill those shoes and in that knowledge base. So we, celebrate her time with the district and are excited for her to be able to move on to retirement. So then Skyward, we keep working through all the different stages of the Skyward implementation. Our basic financing is up and running, our time off, and then our purchasing modules are working at this time. How this all, because it ties especially discreetly into payroll. We've been working hard, getting all those things to line up, and Skyward spent time on site helping us with payroll. Overall, things went very, very smooth. It's just a big transition period. So things like what's called employee reimbursements, handling those electronically, some substitute record keeping, e-commerce purchasing, where like people will be able to go directly to Amazon, for example, and do their shopping there, and have it be much easier getting things approved. That's almost up and running. Probably one of the biggest adjustments that'll be the last big adjustment that'll impact everyone will be the implementation of the time tracking. So the time tracking will be where employees will log in and log out. So we're working on the setup for that, and overall it's going very well. So, there's always going to be little bumps in the road with that kind of that big of an implementation. So.
Hey, Angela, just because you brought up purchasing, do we use group purchasing at all in our district, like with other districts or other larger groups? Not necessarily. Sometimes some districts, like for food service, will group together with commodities, but we really, we work with the city more than other districts, I would say, and I'd have to have Chris remind me, but I think we work with purchasing gas together for vehicles, for maintenance vehicles. I want to say salt and stuff. We have little agreements that we work with the city on those things. So it's, and then we allow them to buy goods from us at a discounted rate. We kind of work hand in hand together on those things. So with Amazon, what will be nice is we can
we can do all kinds of settings on there where you can say to prefer local vendors if you want to. You can also say because of things with federal funding to not do any debarred sellers. It can make sure that it monitors all of that against the federal list so that we're not accidentally purchasing from someone that's not kosher, so that's really good. Because of the size of our district, what you end up running into is that like a smaller district can limit who can go on Amazon to a small number, but because of our size of our district, we are opening up our membership to a higher level and we'll get larger incentives through our purchases. And we use like an American Express account and like there's like incentives linked to that. And then you can get additional discounts on things as well. So I don't know, that's a lot of detail, a lot of in the weeds on that, but huh?
I think that's helpful to know that though. It's
Yeah.
an understanding of how things are working.
Yes, correct.
So
And
how
we-
does it work when we do things like, say, for all of our schools? I mean, it sounds silly, but say pencils, right? We all use pencils. It's a
Mhm,
lot of pencils for a district our size. So we
correct.
don't use group purchasing for something like that. How do we get like the best pricing on those kinds of things?
Well, a lot of those bulk items are purchased through the warehouse through MSC. So Tammy Hansen will order those things in large bulk. So we do some bulk purchasing. And then
When
schools
you
will
say
put
the
requests.
warehouse,
Yes,
our warehouse,
yes, our warehouse, like,
meaning that the warehouse is buying stuff knowing that we're stocking because of a collective need, correct?
correct. I mean, like our district, it just says, they organize and purchase and they ship out of MSC. So we call it like our warehouse, but it's not like
So the warehouse, in terms of the warehouse, obviously it's a volume purchase then, just
Mhm.
because we're trying to, estimate and coordinate things based on past usage.
Mhm.
In Michigan, there are cooperatives and stuff like this sometimes where there's group discounts, by participating in pools. I don't know what exists in Wisconsin.
Well, and the reason I actually even brought it up was because at conference, there are several places that you can join up and have that kind of
Right.
co-op purchasing.
One of the places, that would be good to tap in just to know what's out there that, to make sure that we are as the School Business Officials Association.
Yeah.
They would be tuned into
Mhm.
that. So those things we could follow up to see, is there some things that we're not aware of that we could?
CISA 2 purchasing will offer a lot of deals. Like there are certain things that you can, like they'll have different rebates and different pricing through different vendors. If I bring Joyce in here, my secretary, she'd tell you all the different places that we get special pricing for. But where we're able to take advantage of deals and savings, we definitely do. And then we, of course, don't pay tax. But yeah, there's a lot of, I use Amazon as one place, but we do have that. Some districts will go in together with other districts on health insurance and that kind of stuff. If you have like 5 small school districts and stuff, but since we're larger and we have a self-insured plan, we wouldn't want to do something like that. But I'm trying to think of what the other thing is. There something.
Angela, are the purchases for the warehouse coordinated then at the warehouse or in your office?
More through the warehouse, and then there's a website called School Dude where the schools will go on and purchase. And
From the warehouse.
From the warehouse,
Right.
correct.
So we can fall back up and just make sure that we're aware of all the places that they're tapping into.
Yeah, I can bring that back and just, I don't know if we have a definitive list of all the places where we have savings, but we do definitely tap into that. So,
I just think it'd be interesting to know how we operate that way too.
sure.
Like how the purchasing, especially amount of materials and stuff, because we are a bigger district, how we take advantage of those and we buy from.
Yeah.
Deals like that.
And I think the definite goal is through the MSC warehouse purchasing is that we do buy in more volume in bulk that way. So, like our paper, like our printing center, they'll buy paper, skids of paper, and they'll do that just once or twice a year. So that, you can save more that way instead of buying in smaller amounts, so.
And maybe some of the things that I saw, like at conference,
Mhm.
may help the smaller districts, like band together and get some more of that
Yeah.
value.
If you have any direct information, share it with me and we're happy to explore it. I think CISA 2 is the big one,
Okay.
but there could be other ones as well.
I did grab a card for somebody, so I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Just don't have it with me.
So unprepared.
Did you say warehouse? Are you talking about that Morgan Center or whatever
Mhm.
it's called?
So when you look at the building, if you're looking at the building like this, you'll see on this side, there's like a maintenance shop for vehicles, and then our library area is over there, and then there's like a drive-up overhead door where things can be delivered there, and that's where all of the sort of central receiving is, so to say. So like, all the mail will be sorted out there and delivered to different buildings and stuff. There is, a delivery driver, and then he goes out to the schools, periodically through the week. There's a schedule of where they deliver and how often they deliver. And then right next to them is Treadwells, which goes to the schools every day. So,
And just thinking out loud, I guess piggybacking off Kathy's thoughts and what Jim was saying is, maybe there's an opportunity even to look at some of the larger districts nearby, say, hey, how do we, maybe pool our spend and see what we can get. If we can get one supplier that'd be willing to, give us a better rate for this, this much more. I don't know if that's ever been explored, but that may be a.
not to my knowledge, but
All the extra time you have, that would be great.
No, but I mean,
But I get it though, because if we buy a lot of paper, maybe if we buy even more paper with other really big districts, there's an even better discount.
Mhm.
I mean, not only, that plus with just other stuff like, I guess we're doing that self-funding for health insurance, but I think we should always try to be thinking outside the box on how do we manage our expenses better, knowing there's a lot there and we want to do the best we can in the environment that we're in. Right?
Mhm. No, for sure. And I think one of the biggest areas, where we could experience more savings, but it's kind of a time constraint type thing right now, is like we use BMO purchasing for our credit cards, and we have to share. That's a program through WASBL, which is the business officials group. They take a cut of that, and I don't know how much, I can't remember offhand what it is. We still get incentive cash back, but the district gets like once a year. But I think when I was in another district, we would really try to maximize, and everything that we could put on a credit card that we wouldn't incur a fee for, we would try to do that because it's more cash back. I mean, in that district, we made like $20,000 a year just on cash back, just because of simply the volume that we get. And so like this, with Amazon, the American Express, we can get a pretty substantial amount back, and I can bring that stuff here too, if you guys are curious to see that, it's interesting. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think all those are ideas worth exploring.
Yep.
Pull anything back. I mean, it all ends up when they're looking at.
Yeah. Just making a note. Okay. Thank you. For Skyward, I mean, it's just lots of things to work through with that, but and the historical migration is complete. So we have the information, and so Rob's working on reports and all that kind of stuff. He's all geared up for that. So, okay.
I would just, like to give a shout out though to Angela and her business office staff, because I've been through so many conversions in my history, and they are major initiatives. And we've heard very little, about some of the challenges. And that's just a lot of work, and I'm just really appreciative of what Angela and her business office has done.
It was a great.
And
Thank you.
and just moving us to a more advanced platform. for conducting business, sometimes you're stuck with some archaic systems that take forever to change and to migrate off, so because it's change. But we will be served better because of, tapping into these better integrated systems.
Yeah, Skyward is great, actually. And I talked about that before. I think part of why it probably goes well too is your enthusiasm for it. And I know I'm totally behind it because I used it when I subbed in Valders,
Yeah.
and it's a very user-friendly system, at least from my perspective of how I used it. I'm certainly not a business office person, but very easy to sign on and
Yeah.
all those using the various things to look at, even as an employee, you can look at different, I mean, it's just a great system.
Well, even, now, because of this is activated, we set limits in terms of where I have to sign off on certain things.
Yeah. I've
And
heard
this
of
stuff is all right there. I can pull it up, look up all the background information, and some things are obviously, just approve this, and others, I could say, geez, I want to talk about this a little bit before we proceed.
Yeah.
So it's,
I didn't even think to mention that. So yeah, you can set conditional approvals or conditional settings. So like anything over $5,000 goes through Jim just as a review.
Automatically.
And so like, I've actually looped Colin in on it as well too, because they were looking at, and it's just that he has access where he could go in and review as the finance chair. So if he, we talked, I said, well, let's coordinate how we do this. And just sometimes the timing of when the business office needs to take action, we just figured the best is he still has access to that. And then, I go in and approve, and then, he can look at that anytime. So, it's really, our auditors can go in, and we're going all paperless, where we're going to scan all of the invoices in there. So, they'll still come on site because they do that, and they'll ask questions and interviews, but it's really going to improve things in so many ways. So it's,
Streamline that process.
no, and it's, very happy with how it's gone so far. It never goes perfect because it's a lot of setup work.
And it's fairly local.
Yeah,
Stevens Point.
Oh, wow.
very in point. Yeah. Yeah. So it's, I can't believe the time has gone really quick. I think it seems like yesterday that that it was approved by the board, and, it flies by.
When you're busy, that's what happens.
So, but thank you, Jim. I appreciate that, and everyone's patience. So, just moving on, the sale of the property at 8th and Columbus was completed on December 30th. So we took care of that, and it was $3,750 that we received for the sale. We sold it for $4,000, and just the attorney's fees were just to help us with the deed and that kind of stuff. So,
When we do those sale of properties, what funds do we usually put those in? Do we just put them in the?
A local revenue fund, it
Yeah.
just gets put into there with like any other sort of that usually would be like I can't remember if he would categorize it as a local donation or a local source, because it's not officially from the state or the property taxes, so to say, or it's a miscellaneous revenue.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, and then the next item, Cooper funds, I mean, we've reviewed that just with all the work with Skyward. I haven't had a chance to really get back to that, and so just wanted to provide an update. I want to reach out to the principals and get some feedback from them regarding next steps. So I've talked with Ken about it. We've reviewed old records, and the hope would really be to move the funds, which is a slightly over $100,000, over to the foundation, Lakeshore Community Foundation, because we really can make more on interest. Ken, and I'm back and forth, and he'd be like, I still think it's going to run out in 8 years. And I said, well, but let's still move it over there. You never know. We could get a little more in interest on it and make it last a little longer. I think the feedback that I've received in the past, and just from talking to both Ken and Sean too, is the process of the little requests that we get for the funds. We would like to maybe explore doing like a bigger allotment to a building and doing it on a rotation, so that you like a certain school could know, well, we're up next year. What is the special thing that we want to do for our school that will meet the requirements of the trust? So they can't just say, well, we're going to buy, you know, some kind of a disposable supply. It has to be some kind of equipment or something of more value for the school. So, you know, it's just a nice way for the schools to be more creative with it. And, you know, it's nice that we can potentially keep it going a little longer. So there was one thing that I learned specifically was that with the trust, it was 25% was to go to Washington Middle School or Washington Junior High, now middle school. And that was of the original value of the trust. And so that was one thing that was, you know, misunderstood a little bit. And so we've had clarified, you know, because the 25% is really short of about $2,000 almost already given to Washington. So that means that we can use that to rotate it amongst the rest of the schools moving forward, and make good on the wishes that of the original amount that goes to Washington, but then we can just do an even rotation moving forward as well. So, yeah, I'll, you know, just bring a formal recommendation not for the February 15th meeting, but the one in March. Then really the, you know, policy work coming up, you know, the purchasing and the food service policy, those were kind of also put on hold just for various reasons. You know, next time Colin and I get to work and I talk with Jim, we'll kind of revisit that because that's been on hold for a while, but we're going to be revisiting policy work overall. So I don't know if we'll wait with that until we do all of the policy work or look at that one more specifically.
Sounds like as far as policy, we're going to be doing, we're having the admins and then they're bringing it to
Yes.
those adjustments to the committee then.
And then I would do that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would bring my recommendations with that. So yes, no, we
So
can.
meeting with your team and then, bring them forward.
We'll do that. Yeah, no, that's, you know, and I think I wrote this too before I knew that was on there.
Right,
'Cause that,
yeah.
you know, and kind of all the crossover with that. So the next major project that Mike Null, the interim director of human resource, and I are looking into are the other post-employment benefits review. This is a long process. We have to be very, very careful when you look at your other post-employment benefits. You know, as I've mentioned several times, we're looking to go to a more defined contribution model versus a guaranteed benefit. You know, just with the rising cost of healthcare, it really puts a heavy weight and strain on our health plan. Typically, your claims are going to be higher for your older people on your plan too. And so that's one of those things where you take that gamble no matter what age anyone is, but it's just something to consider from a fiscal lens, you know. So we're studying that. There are also a lot of compliance things, considering some options we may look at. So some options would maybe keep people from, we don't want to keep, like, let's say a retired teacher, if we were to look at different products, like if we would look at HRAs or if we would look at, or just giving a certain fixed price on the premium, we want to make sure it doesn't inhibit any retiree from subbing in the district, as an example. So there's a lot of factors, and we work with USI, our brokers, and they have HR compliance attorneys and teams that can look at all of our data, our actuarial studies, and give recommendations on something that will, you know, be fiscally sustainable. So we're just starting the process on that. And we'll, you know, once Mike and I work and we have an option that we feel comfortable with, we would share that with the rest of the administrative team. We would go through and share that with the rest of the district, get input from, you know, different stakeholders within the district as well. You know, to give you an idea of the length of time it would take to look at something like this, we wouldn't put something like this in place likely until July of 24. So it's a longer process. It's not a quick. I mean, we would hope maybe by the end of this calendar year to know where we'd be going with it. So.
And for that number, as far as the amount that is currently spent on post-employment benefits. What is that number? Do you know offhand?
We pay, I believe last year was $1.6 million between all of our post-employment benefits annually, 1.6 or $1.4 million. So it's pretty extensive.
Paid out annually?
Huh?
Paid out annually?
Paid out annually between claims and then the other part of premiums. I think that's what often is the lost piece of it, that we pay all of our claims. So when you have anyone that is in a fully insured plan, I mean, your claims are a part of calculating your rates and renewals and stuff, but we pay directly out of our pot. You know, if the district covers, if you look at, well, on an insurance site to see like your plan covers this, your insurance covers this, the insurance is really the district. You know, that's really what it boils down to. So we definitely want to take a look at that. The other piece, and I'll said it many times, you know, we have from tied to the strategic plan as well, you know, taking good care of our employees and you know, having benefits that attract and retain staff is very important. When districts typically look at their OPEB and they say like, gosh, you know, we really can't sustain what we're paying for at this time, you look at ways that you grandfather a certain amount of time, and then you also have payout options, or you have options where, you know, employees can choose one thing or the other. There's just a ton of different ways that we can do this. So I hesitate to say anything specific because we don't know.
So theoretically, because the risk pool changes the pool,
Mhm.
it could potentially lead to some savings for our employees as well. Potentially.
Correct. Yes,
theoretically.
yes. And the thing too is if we would put, there are some vehicles of investment vehicles where we could invest in an employee's account from the day they walk into the district, and by the time they leave the district 30 years later, the interest will work for them and give them more money, and we'll give them just as much, if not more, towards healthcare premiums where, you know, they don't really experience that. We just experience the increase of the benefit itself and the cost of it. So, you know, much cheaper for the district to give, you know, a certain amount every year and let interest in an investment account take care of that. So that's just one of the many options we're taking a look at though. And to pay out something like that, because of like when districts look at that, that's the big thing that keeps districts from refinancing it. One estimate, like if we were to fund one option would be, you know, it would cost millions of dollars for the district.
Yeah.
So it's something that you would do over a period of time, like even it would be at minimum a 5-year shift. So
it takes time to actually
mhm.
do it responsibly, respectfully, and
Correct,
and-
all of those things.
yeah.
Yeah, because you have to be able to fund your new design, and you also need to be able to honor and back fund or do whatever you need to do with the employees who have earned, you know, benefits to
Absolutely,
date.
yeah.
So. So then I just included upcoming meeting dates, and for the 15th, I want to include just the audit reports. That's annually, we bring that here. And then the OPEB actuarial study, that'll give you a little bit more information about just the district as a whole, where we sit with that OPEB benefit, and then another referendum update. We have other things on there to add as well. And then we're really already starting to talk about next year. I mean, we've been talking about it already, you know, so I'm just thinking by March 15th, we would be able to just review a budget process calendar and just have that kind of set in stone and know what to look ahead for. Course selection will tell us a lot more.
All right, did anybody have any thing further or questions further for Angela?
So we have another meeting on the 15th.
Yes.
What time is that at?
I believe 5:30.
Right.
We're doing that. We should have it in the calendar, but maybe I need to.
Yeah, that one, might be tough for me to make, but.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
I mean, the items, you know, you know, right now with, I mean, referendum is ongoing. I know it's helpful to have the information and stuff, but if we would need to just postpone until March, I could push the audit report and the OPEB, the study to that, but we can look at that or look for reschedule to another night. So, okay,
Yeah, just that week, my schedule's kind of hairy right now. I got travel. I'm trying to figure it out, so.
We did, our general board meeting also
the Tuesday.
is that Tuesday too, so it's on the 14th, just so you're
I don't, that one I figured out a way to join remotely. I just don't know where I'm
Right on. I got you.
gonna be at for the.
Would we rather wait till March or would you like
I
me to
mean,
find
we
another?
could play it by ear, I guess, as we get closer. I'm just letting you know, like,
Okay.
there's a chance that, you know, I
Mhm.
may need, I'd like to be on the meeting, but.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we may need to look at a different day or time potentially.
When would you probably be able to hammer that time down?
I should know, I'm hoping by mid to late next week.
Okay. So then, probably, you know, plan accordingly and then reach out to the rest of the
Yeah.
committee.
Why don't you reach out to me and let me know where you're at?
Okay.
You know, time, or, you know, when you know a little bit more, and I'm happy to move as we need to. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. If nothing else, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn then.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right. We are adjourned. Oh, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
what time did we start? Like 5:32 or?
Yeah.
5:32, that is correct. Yeah.
Just.
Well, it kind of helped that only Ed was talking, for that instead of.